Now the Iranians were put in this conundrum. What do you do? If you don't respond, you lose all credibility, and your allies will be afraid to trust you after that. So they had to respond. So then later this month, in April, I don't remember which date, 13, 14, something like that, the Iranians launched a massive strike on Israel. A whole bunch of drones were first launched. Then they launched cruise missiles and ballistic missiles. But it was done in such a way, it was choreographed in such a way that all these assets will arrive in Israel at the same time. So first you have to launch the slow-moving offensive weapons, which are the drones. Now those become very clearly visible on radar and all that. So the Israelis knew this is coming. And then they were able to take out most of this. So the Jordanian government got involved. They took out some of the missiles and drones. The Saudis got involved. They also took out some of the missiles and drones. And the rest of these missiles and drones were neutralized by the Israeli Iron Dome system. And some of the missiles, etc., they did impact some targets in Israel. Overall, not a lot of damage, but a massive number of assets were deployed against Israel. So this had a couple of effects. First of all, it did not do a lot of damage in Israel. It was choreographed in such a way that the Israelis could see it coming. But the Iranians got to see exactly which nations act in which manner and what are the kind of defenses they have. And once again, the Iranians did not have to spend a lot of their stockpile. It was just a fraction of what they have in reserve. So that's what happens. Then the Israelis, obviously, they are now in a position that if we don't retaliate, we will lose face, we will lose credibility. So they also launched a retaliatory airstrike on certain Iranian targets a few days later. Some military assets were kind of damaged or destroyed, but overall the Iranians have claimed that there's been no significant damage and the situation seems to have calmed down right now. The main problem is that the two nations, it's very hard for them to go to war because the borders of the two nations are about 1,000 kilometers apart. And the major cities are about 2,000 kilometers apart. So how do you fight a war? Unless you get the US involved. The US has military bases in the region, south of Iran, across the Persian Gulf and all that. But we don't want a war there because a significant amount of the world's energy flows out of the Persian Gulf. And if Iran is in a state of war and they are a reasonably capable military power, they have very good drones and whatnot, then they are in a position to close off the Persian Gulf via the Strait of Hormuz, and that would make oil prices globally shoot up, which will destroy the economies of some nations, and it will be overall bad for the global economy. So we don't want a war there.